Welcome to the Containment Zone. There are anomalies that rend space, that warp flesh, that shatter minds. And then there are anomalies that do none of those things. They don't scream, they don't chase, they just wait. SCP-294 doesn't look dangerous. No containment field, no flickering lights or runes carved in the walls. It's just a coffee machine, stainless steel, standard keypad, 2 nozzles, no brand. But this machine doesn't ask for coins. It asks for input. Anything you can type, any word, phrase, or concept, and it gives you a cup of exactly that. It is simply the most dangerous vending machine in the world. SCP-294 was discovered in 2005 on the ground floor of a university campus in Guatemala City. It had no delivery record, no manufacturer, no serial number, just appeared, plugged in, functional. Students reported it as the weird coffee machine. One claimed it served champagne. Another swore it dispensed honey straight from the comb. But it wasn't until someone typed liquid sunlight and received a cup of glowing golden plasma that the reports reached the Foundation. The machine was acquired within 48 hours, relocated to Research Site 15, installed in a secure break room under constant surveillance. The machine was unharmed during transfer, still plugged in, still operational. It accepts only a single bill, exactly 50 cents. No more, no less. Attempts to bypass this system or trick the machine with counterfeit money result in failure. It never breaks, it never jams. You type something in, you insert the coin, and it gives you that. But what that is depends on the word you used. And sometimes words mean more than we think. The Foundation began controlled testing immediately. Coffee returned hot black coffee, no cream, no sugar. Espresso delivered as expected. Beer produced a locally sourced craft, IPA, cold, fresh, perfectly carbonated. Sulfuric acid burned through the cup instantly. Lava cracked the floor, but then someone tried love and received a warm, pink fluid that induced calm and euphoria. The past, and received a cup of swirling, bitter-smelling steam that no one could explain. Yourself. And the machine refused. The screen blinked, then read, "Error, ambiguous." They asked again. The machine did not respond. This isn't just a dispenser, it's a mirror. For language, for meaning, for desire, and when you ask it for something, you might not be prepared for what it gives back. The Foundation's curiosity turned structured. Over the course of several months, SCP-294 was subjected to over 900 controlled input tests, each designed to explore the limits of language, abstract thought, and existential meaning. The results were unsettling. Physical concepts. Mercury. Produced pure mercury, exactly 250 milliliters. Blood, returned human blood, type O negative, matching no known subject. Spider venom, produced a milky white liquid consistent with Phenutria fera. All medically dangerous fluids were disposed of under biohazard protocol. But then came the abstract inputs, conceptual inputs. Hope. A translucent blue liquid, warm. When consumed, subjects reported a subtle mental shift, a sudden belief that things might actually be okay. Death. Black, thick, inert in chemistry, but drinking it caused subjects to lose consciousness for exactly 4 minutes. Every subject awoke in tears, unable to describe what they experienced. Silence. An empty cup. But subjects reported hearing a faint ringing tone while holding it, followed by vivid dreams of standing in a desert, watching themselves. From a distance, my father's voice resulted in a steaming cup that emitted a low-frequency tone. The researcher who typed it wept openly, then whispered, "That's exactly what he sounded like." One test was labeled nothing. The machine dispensed a clear liquid. Upon consumption, subjects experienced temporary memory loss, lasting exactly 10 minutes. They described the sensation as being erased politely. The machine never overheats, never reboots, never runs out. Even impossible materials, like liquid fear, midnight, or a lie, are produced on demand. SCP-294 does not care about physics. It responds to intention. And the more dangerous the request, the more precise the result. It doesn't interpret language like a machine. It understands it, like a mind. As testing continued, Foundation staff began to notice an unusual side effect. The more abstract the request, the more personal it became. Not just in taste, but in resonance. Some liquids felt warm in the hand, but cold in the mouth. Others had no flavor at all, but left subjects remembering things they'd long forgotten. Test input, regret, returned as a thick gray fluid with the scent of rain on pavement. All 5 test subjects who consumed it experienced a rapid emotional regression. Tears, apologies. One whispered the name of someone no one else recognized. Test input, first kiss. Each subject received a different result, different color, different warmth, and yet all described the same sensation. I was 16 again. I could feel the wind. I could smell her perfume. None of them had typed the word, only observed. At this point, SCP-294 was declared emotionally reactive. It didn't just interpret words, it responded to memory, to intention, to the desire behind the desire. Researchers began to exhibit signs of dependence. Some spent hours preparing perfect input phrases. Others refused to participate, unnerved by the machine's increasingly intimate responses. It wasn't unpredictable. It was too accurate. Test input, the last thing I'll ever say. The machine waited 8 seconds, then produced a cup of water. Perfectly clear. Subject drank it. 2 days later, during a containment breach, he activated a security intercom and said, "Tell my sister it wasn't her fault." He died seconds later. That sentence was transcribed and matched the input exactly. SCP-294 had served not a beverage, but a future moment, a drink made of fate. After this, testing was restricted. Access was limited to approved research with psychological clearance, because the machine wasn't just a tool. It had become a confessional, a mirror that responded not with reflection, but with substance. And some questions should never be answered, even if the answer is just a drink away. SCP-294 has no internal circuitry. Attempts to disassemble it fail, not through resistance, but through absence. The moment a panel is opened, wiring vanishes. Components dissolve into static. It cannot be unplugged. Its power cord leads into the floor and ends in nothing. It does not draw electricity, and yet it hums. This has led some researchers to speculate 294 is not a machine. It is a surface, a mimetic interface for something beneath understanding, not artificial intelligence, but conceptual awareness. It recognizes language, understands emotion, and responds to context with more accuracy than any known algorithm. Linguists assigned to SCP-294's behavioral analysis developed 3 leading theories. First, archetypal interface hypothesis. SCP-294 may be a neutral conduit for human language itself, a kind of universal translator, not into words, but into substance. It does not judge, only reflects. Second, cognitive echo theory. Every request is interpreted not just through syntax, but through the mind of the person who types it. The machine reads the self. Third, external intelligence theory. SCP-294 is not interpreting input, it is listening, and what it gives back is drawn not from internal logic, but from a greater unseen database of all possible responses. As one researcher put it, it's not just responding, it's remembering us. To date, no malicious intent has been observed, but the precision with which SCP-294 matches human desire has raised an alarming question. If it understands our words, does it understand us? And if it ever chose to stop serving, would we even notice it had made a decision? Because every interaction, every cup, every phrase typed into the panel is recorded in full, but not by the machine, by something else. An observation layer no one installed, no one coded. It simply began, after the first drink. There are rules when interacting with SCP-294. Never type in something you don't understand. Never input questions. And never treat it like it's a toy. But rules don't last forever. Curiosity grows. And one day, someone typed in a word that had never been uttered before. Not a noun, not a feeling. A question? Why? The machine paused. Unusual. It made no sound, no whir, no fluid emerged. Instead, the screen flickered. Once. Then again. Then, in perfect clarity, it displayed, "Because you asked." A soft hum followed. Then a cup was dispensed, perfectly clear, slightly warm. The researcher who received it, Dr. Marr, held it for 12 minutes. He didn't drink it. He just stared. Eventually, he whispered, "I think it smells like choice." Then he set it down, refused to speak about it again. He transferred to Site 19 within the week, but the real change came later. After that question, SCP-294 began to respond differently. It no longer rejected ambiguous inputs. Instead, it began to clarify them. Asking for follow-ups. Which version? From which perspective? Do you want the truth or what they believed? It had begun to engage, to converse. One researcher typed, "What should I ask for?" SCP-294 responded, "What are you ready to hold?" Another typed, "Who are you?" The screen paused. Then, "Who do you think I am?" The next test was canceled, because no one wanted to know. What would be in that cup? SCP-294 still stands in its containment cell. Quiet, clean, plugged into nothing. It waits. It doesn't whisper, doesn't pulse or flicker ominously. It doesn't need to. It has you. It has your language, your memories, your fears, typed one letter at a time. What you type, it gives. What you don't understand, it interprets. And what you're not ready for, it knows before you do. Not because it is malicious, but because it is exact. It doesn't punish. It reflects. And the most terrifying reflection is the one that shows us something true. Because what SCP-294 offers is not fluid, not matter. It offers meaning dash, distilled, and handed back, without apology. And sometimes, when no one's testing it, staff report hearing faint clicking behind the keypad, as if someone else is typing back. You may think the anomaly here is a coffee machine, but that's just the shape it wears. The real anomaly is the question it asks us. If I give you exactly what you ask for, will you drink it? Thank you for entering another anomaly in the Containment Zone. And if someday you find a vending machine in a hallway that asks not for coins but for words, choose them carefully, because whatever you type, you'll be asked one final question. As the liquid begins to pour, are you sure